Welcome to yet another episode of Lovelyhood. Ooh, my face is dry, so let me show me some self-love by moisturizing it. So, in this week's episode, I'll be discussing why self-love is a journey and not a destination. So, if you are one of those people who have been wondering why everyone is going on and on about the fact that self-love is a continuing thing, or you have some questions in general about self-love as a topic, then I would like you to then fasten your seatbelt and get ready for this ride. I hope that I'll be able to answer most of your questions, and I hope that you will enjoy this specific episode. So do stay tuned in. We'll see now. So let's start with the basics. The basics being, what is self-love? So the one thing that I need you guys to understand is that self-love means different things to different people, and that is absolutely fine. There is no right or wrong definition of self-love, but I think the common thing, or the underlying matter of all these definitions, is that you need to be loving yourself without the influence of others, without anyone giving you approval of whether your love is right or not. So, just to take it back to me and what is self-love for me. So, for me, self-love is loving myself and being able to say that this is how I love myself without the influence of others, without any external factors, and being able to admit that this is the kind of love that I'm exerting onto others, and the kind of love that I would love to receive back from the universe. So will it always happen that the kind of love that I exert will always be reciprocated? Not necessarily, but I think when you love yourself completely, you are able to then take yourself out of situations which are negative, out of situations which are no longer healthy for you, which no longer grow you, and which no longer bring you peace. And that is the basics of self-love in a nutshell. So just an interesting fact, I was one of those people who believed that self-love is a project. I remember there was a year where I called it my self-love year, and I was literally on a whole ramp. I remember reading books, going on the internet, like I was literally doing an assignment, and I thought to myself, come the 31st of December, this project should be done and I'll be putting an end to it. Did I not have the shock of my life when I realized that, for starters, self-love is not a one-year thing, and self-love is not a one-time thing. Self-love is something that you do on a daily basis. It's the process of continuously asking yourself very important questions about you and how you treat you. So it was quite a nice year, in the sense that all I was focusing on in that year is myself. Self-love becomes very tricky when you have to think of yourself for starters, but then also think of your love for others, and that now relates to the relationships that you have with others. And ultimately, that is the point that you want to get at. You want to be able to love yourself without neglecting the other relationships of your life. So it was a nice year, I should admit. But I think what I've also discovered is that there is so much to learn. I mean, there are things that I do to practice self love, one of them being prayer, just being in a quiet space and speaking to my creator, because there are certain things that I cannot even explain or begin to explain to human beings, things that only he can understand. I also educate myself, funny enough. So for me, education is not about going to university or sitting down and studying for 6 hours. For me, education is acquiring wisdom, in whichever way you see fit. And for me, that has been reading books and finding out how others think, and finding out what others go through. And in the case that we have similar circumstances, how do they handle those circumstances? You will first of all be educated, for starters, but moreover that, you'll be very aware of the fact that this world is a vast place, and this thing that we call life is amazing. Amazing in the sense that it is a school in which we get to learn. So the reason why I'm saying that self-love could never be a destination is because circumstances are changing on a daily basis. The environment around us is changing on a daily basis. The people around us are changing on a daily basis. So to say that self-love, or to say that you can love yourself only once and be done with it, would be unfair to your being and to the one who you believe created you. Whatever it is, whether it be, in fact, I'm not even going to mention it, whatever it is that you believe created you. And so self-love could never in a million years be something that happens once and that's that. It is a recurring thing, something that changes on a daily basis. And so I understand people who say that their definition of self-love changes on a daily basis. It makes absolute sense to me. And the factors that I believe contribute to one's definition of self-love. So I know that some of you may be wondering, okay, so where does one draw the line between self-love and being self-absorbed or self-centered, which are some of the aspects which I discussed in last week's episode. And I think it's important to realize this. People will always say something about what you do. People always have something to say. So at some point, someone will always think that you are self-centered. Someone will always think that you are self-absorbed. And unfortunately, those are factors that you don't have control over. But what you do need to realize is that you can love yourself. It is when you start becoming less of a humane person, it is when you start treating others with less humanity, and you start having this idea that the world revolves around you, and you start becoming ignorant of people's feelings, of people's circumstances, and all you sort of care about and all you sort of give attention to is you, then that's not self-love. Then that is selfishness, that is being self-centered, that is being self-absorbed. But if you can love yourself and still treat others like they are human beings, then you are absolutely on the right track. As I've said, there is no right or wrong definition of self-love. So I would like to hear from you. What is your definition of self-love? What are your daily self-care routines? So please just drop a comment below. And please do subscribe to this channel and do like this video if you haven't done so already. Until next week for the next episode, goodbye.